Of course, you're back on another journey to truth and life, and I'm your host, none other than More Than a Conqueror. Before we get started today, I would like to apologize to those of you who viewed the previous live stream. Although the information was truthful, it was a bit overtone in its emotional expression. So I do apologize for that. I believe that we as members of the human race have a right to be upset anytime that crimes against humanity are being commenced against those less fortunate, elderly, youthful, and pretty much anyone in between. Apathy is a pandemic that has plagued the people. I believe that apathy, along with ignorancy of criminal operations being carried out by the very infrastructures designed to protect us and serve us, make for a dangerous cocktail. So in today's video, I'm going to try to compose myself as I discuss with you some very disturbing information about illegal human experimentation, population control, which translate as murder, and much more. One of the most extreme and difficult to believe atrocity that is being committed against the human race is neurological experimentation. Although it is publicized highly on tech forums, the vast majority of society is completely oblivious. Although many members of society have been victimized either knowingly or unknowingly by this technology that has been developed and been commenced for operation underneath the Obama's Brain Initiative legislation. There's also the domestic war on terror, which means the domestic war against citizens and civilians here in the United States. Over the past 15 years, many veterans who have been programmed mentally and emotionally by the environment of war have returned to the United States. Instead of providing them with the necessary deprogramming and psychological counseling that they need, the tyrants of the United States government have chosen to utilize them for CMOs, or civilian military operations, turning the domestic USA into a battleground where you, as a citizen, is considered the combatant. This is sickening and very difficult to wrap your mind around, but members and former members of the U.S. military and other militant sectors are operating underneath the NDAA, or the military legislation, as well as the PAA, formerly known as the Patriot Act. In 2015 was revised, amended, and reasserted as the Freedom Act, which is more or less like the Enslavement Act, if you ask me, or anyone else who understand the more intricate workings of the legislation. This means that the military or militant groups can put on civilian clothes and operate militantly against innocent citizens of the United States and other parts of the Western world. Of course, the oversight is underneath United Nations Agenda 21 or 2021. This is why we are experiencing such turmoil and unrest this year and the year prior. This means that the United States is no longer operating sovereignly as a nation under its own legislation proposed by representation of elected officials from the Republic. America is no longer a democracy. It is more or less a corporatocracy or a corporation that have been sold out. A corporatocracy is pretty much a corporation composed of smaller corporations. Everything from the military to the healthcare industry is corporatized, even the religious sectors. And you can go research this information if you think I am blowing smoke. The first incorporated sector was the church, the Christian church, followed by the education institute or your schooling, public schooling. These are facts. However, it is not the focus of the message today. The focus of the message today is going to expose electronic torture, electromagnetic torture, microwave torture, electronic murder. I will repeat that, electronic murder, which means they don't have to touch you. This is all part of United Nations Agenda 21. Go read that. It's a book of legislations and objectives. And before I continue, to inform some of you who may not know, an agenda is something that is proposed. They have these think tanks that meet at the World Summit. Most of you have heard of the World Summit, but is unaware of what actually happens there. This is where leaders from across the world come together, and they have these think tanks, which are composed of scientists and other professionals that work solely to propose pretty much operational scientific methods that could bring their agendas into fruition. Simply meaning that they write out the leaders say what they want to happen, right? So you have these this oligarchy, right? You have this ruling class, this 1% of people who pretty much control the narrative of society. They then utilize their dirty, wicked dollars in order to hire brilliant minds, which are corruptible, very Nazi-like, because this is exactly what Hitler did in Nazi Germany and Stalin did during the Stasi USSR era. Do your research. The schooling institutes are not going to teach you the dirty truth about history. But if you don't know your history, then you are bound to repeat it. Getting back on point, though, these 1%ers have these agendas that they would like to happen for the purposes of control, because they're all narcissists. Even if they're not narcissists, if there's one or two out of, the entire group that are narcissistic in their thought process, they have to act as such in order to survive in that environment. Much like a wolf, have to instinctively act the way wolves act in order to survive within a wolf pack. So long story short, they used their dirty dollars to hire think tanks, professionals from every sector and background, from your anthropologists to your healthcare agents to your physicists, weapons development, you name it. There's representatives there, and what they do is they consider the agenda that is proposed to be carried out, and then they create a plan or a scientific operational feasible plot as to how it will be carried out. They brainstorm, and they do research in small select groups, and then they carry it out on a broad scale. These are facts. It sounds crazy, but just look up the World Summit, look up think tanks, and you'll see what's really happening. Long story short, United Nations agenda wanted to create sustainable resources through population control. You can also look up the Georgia Guidestones, which brings into play the Masonic influence, the Luciferian Masonic influence of what's been proposed many centuries ago on the depopulation of humanity. This is where we are today. Now, although it is not publicized through the media is underneath the control of the CIA through Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird was proposed back in the 1970s to procure the media as a tool for mind control, MK Ultra mind control. It was called Operation Mockingbird, which means that the information that you receive through your major news outlets is part of the program of controlling the way that you see the world, which is in line with their Masonic Luciferian practices. It's called deception by control perception. Once you know this stuff, then you can see it as it is happening. When you don't know it, well, you're pretty much left at the mercy of those that do know. So the electronic torture, the electromagnetic torture, the microwave torture, the electronic murder, the electromagnetic murder, microwave murder. So they're using many different methods of between electronics, microwaves, radiation, in order to perpetuate organized murder. This brings into play the CMOs, or the civilian military operatives, that are carrying out in an organized fashion these depopulation murders that are occurring here in America, mostly affecting the so-called Afro-American community, which is truly the Israelite community, which means that those of you who are scriptural based believers, this is prophecy being fulfilled. If the Most High do not return, then there will not be a soul left. People are being cooked alive in their home. there are many, many people who are being shadow banned, and they're experiencing and expressing what is happening to them, and people is downplaying them as having some sort of mental disability. This is not true. These are actual facts. Go look up the information. If it's in legislation, that means that it is in operation. Look up United Nations Agenda 2021. Look up legislation HR 2048. Look up the Obama administration BRAIN initiative. These are all legislations. When they're on paper, they're agendas. When they are carried out, that means they're initiative operations. So we have initiative operations in full motion, underneath the auspices of protecting and serving the community. But when you understand the true nature of what is truly going on, then it is appalling, unless you're an apathetic psychopath, of course. And many people are. Many people, especially who are born after the 2001 September 11th. I don't want to call it what it truly is, because they're liable to take this message down, although the rest of this information, could very well potentially have this need to know information, informative video taken down as well. But September 11th, 2001, there was the catalyst in order to bring about the police state, in order to bring in the covert war and the depopulation agenda to American soil. They had to do it in a way that the people would accept it. So those that were born after that have been acclimated and pretty much groomed by the police state. So they truly believe that the United States is overpopulated, when in actuality, if you're watching this video and you're someone like that, I would suggest that you travel the United States. I'm someone who has well traveled throughout the United States, and I can tell you that no more than 5% of the United States physical terrain is populated. The urbanized areas such as Chicago, New York, Cleveland, any other urban area may be highly and nearly overpopulated, but the vast majority of that state is underdeveloped rural terrain that the United States government and the financial supporters of depopulation could very well utilize in order to spread out the people and give them new life. I myself wouldn't mind going out to undeveloped rural America and raising my family and so forth, but just travel. The vast majority right now, I'm in the state of Illinois, and I travel south all the time to see my family and to take care of business. And from Chicago to Cairo, the vast majority of the state, that is from the top to the bottom, is underdeveloped, unpopulated. And these are facts. Just get in your car and travel outside of the urbanized area. But what a person sees is what a person believes. So if a person grows up in the city of Chicago and all they see is concrete jungles and people all around, they're going to believe that the rest of the world is like that. It's called tunnel vision. That is a medical condition. It's a mental health condition where you see the world through distorted lens, and it's not accurate. And this is why you need to educate and expand the perimeters of your cerebral cortex. So we're talking about electronic torture, microwave torture, electronic murder, electromagnetic murder, microwave murder. Many people are being microwaved. I myself is a victim of this. People are being cooked alive in their home. I had grandmothers and mothers call my phone complaining about what I am speaking of from random places, from random places, from one side of the country to the other, randomly calling me, wanting to be informed on what is happening to them. So many people are being victimized, from grandmothers to children. And kids cannot express what they're feeling. And most of the time, this is where the health industry and the pharmaceutical industry come into play, and they human traffic, profit off the victims, who is dependent on the so-called professionals put into place to serve them. As this is what is happening here in the United States and across the Western world. Other countries such as Great Britain and many other European countries and colonies are also experiencing the same phenomenon. This is why the targeted individual gangstalking subject have burgeoned and have exploded on social media. And of course, disinformation campaigns have been put out in order to reduce the reality of what is going on. This means that they utilize surveillance role players, also known as crisis actors, in order to concoct false videos to make it seem as if we are delusional or mentally compromised, and this is not the case. The FBI, NSA, and many other agencies are acting very psychopathic, and they are conducting these non-consensual, secret, illegal, sadistic, perverted, and psychotic synthetic telepathy experiments. This goes back to what I had previously said about the neural experimentation. They have developed technology to be able to connect the human mind to computers and to be able to transfer data from one to the other. Essentially, for those of you who have some insight on the anatomy and physiology of the cephalo or cerebral region, you would understand that the human brain, the physical brain, operates on cerebral fluids such as serotonin and dopamines, as well as electronic pulses, which sends information from the axons to the dendrites across the synapses. These are facts and information that you can simply learn if you go to your local library and acquire books on anatomy and physiology, specifically in the area of neurology. So that means that your brain sends electrical signals, much like a car sends electrical signals through the spark plugs in order to create the motion for the engine to be able to operate automotively. Those electrical signals sent across hundreds of millions of neurons or brain cells can be mapped out. This is called EEG. When those EEG patterns can be copied and transferred, it's called hydrodyning. You can go read about this if you are interested, but not to get bogged down on how the brain actually works. I want to continue to expose the Brain Initiative and the Depopulation program, which have led to the deaths of millions across the United States as of today. In less than 4 months, 75,000 black women, and I keep repeating that because it is baffling, went missing, disappeared. They didn't go missing. They were victims of this human trafficking atrocity, crime against humanity. And so these psychopaths with this new secret technology are conducting synthetic telepathy experiments, meaning that they are manipulating people's thoughts, moods, and even dreams. This seems supernatural, but it is happening. And for those of you who are religious scripture believers and you tend to downplay these actual facts, it is found in scripture. The book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 states that when the Antichrist system come into place, those people who operate as if they are the Most High, they're going to sit in the temple showing themselves that they are indeed God, the Most High God themselves. This is not speaking of a physical temple at all. It's not. It's the scripture clearly identifies what the true believer should identify as the temple. When the carnal-minded or the worldly-minded so-called religious leaders of the past came to Christ concerning the temple, they spoke of a physical building over in the Holy Lands and said, hey, it took our forefathers decades to construct this. You're going to tear it down and build it up in 3 days. You got to be crazy. And the scriptures, read it for yourself, go on to say they knew not that he was speaking of his body. It goes on in the other portions and say that know ye not that your body is the temple of the Most High Yah. And I can go on for days, but once you actually read this stuff and you understand it for what is written, then it says, be ye not deceived. So a lot of people are deceived and a lot of people are perishing for the lack of knowledge. This is why this is very need to know information with these synthetic telepathy experiments and psychoelectronic weapons attack that are being commenced on hundreds of thousands of innocent and unsuspecting citizens. Many people are taking psychiatric medications as a result of this. You're not dealing with a biological defect. It is a known fact that after the age of 21, there are no recorded cases of acute psychiatric or mental diseases. These are actual facts, and I do apologize. I'm not the best of speakers or articulators, so I have to take my time and speak it slow in order for it to come out appropriately. But I pray that this message is coming over loud and clear. What you need to know is that the Pentagon, along with the United States intelligence agencies, talking NSA or the National Security Agency, the CSS, or the Central Secret Service, the DIA, or the Defense Intelligence Agency, DARPA, or the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, the CIA, or the Central Intelligence Agency, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, and the DHS, which is equatable to the Third Reich of Nazi Germany, which is DHS, mean Department of Homeland Security, for those of you who don't know, have been conducting these counterintelligence program, or Cointelpro programs, let's see, we're at 30 minutes. So I'm not going to hold you guys up much longer. You know what? I'm going to continue for those of you who are interested, for those of you who pretty much want to do something else. You can pause this video and come back at your leisure, but we're going to get it out. The counterintelligence program unit has extremely top secret technology. This is what you need to know, which is what we're speaking of. So these no-touch torture weapons, where people can actually microwave and torture someone through walls, even voice to skull, where they can create audio sounds. Maybe some of you are hearing running showers in your apartments or in your homes, along with noises. Noise campaigns that is synthetic, but you know you hear it. It just seems awkward. These are signs of invasion of your person, which is against the constitutional law. You have the right, or the constitutional protection of security of persons. That is a contractual breach in the agreement between we as the citizens of America and the government and its representatives, who should be operating underneath the confines of the contract known as the Constitution. So if your persons is being violated in any of these capacities, just know that your government is being tyrannical toward you. They are criminals, and they need to be arrested and treated as such. Whether a criminal is in a ski mask or in a uniform wearing a badge, they are still a criminal. We don't look on the surface, but we judge the heart like the Heavenly Father do. Continuing, this technology can pick up the private thoughts given by individuals and the vibrations produced by the brain electrical impulses, which is what I spoke of earlier, the EEG, and these thoughts can be broadcasted by means of microwave receivers, ultrasound receivers, satellites, and other form of technologies, which uses electromagnetic transfers. Some of the household products that help aid them and assist them in this horrific crime against you and many others is your smart television, radio, internet, telephone, pretty much any form of technology that can interface with their AI. They have a super advanced AI. They probably truly take down this video if I talk about this, but these 6 psychopaths have what they call self-conscious computers, which are extremely classified, but I have 3 of them. They call them the Holy Trinity, and they're supposed Anyway, I'm not going to go there because I don't want those psychopaths coming again. Which I'm not scared, but I'm just saying the other information is more vital for you to know. So I would rather be able to keep this platform, but just know if you knew what they had, it would blow your mind. But they're sick, and I believe and I know the scriptures are true, so they're not going to proceed much further. Their demise is already at hand, and it's not me they have to worry about, although they send in stealth helicopters, all these agents, as if, I don't know, Thanos was on the loose. And I have no criminal background, by the way. They know who I am, and this is why nothing more needs to be said. I'll just put it that way. The Pentagon calls this mind-reading technology synthetic telepathy. So you can look up synthetic telepathy, the Obama Brain Initiative, and Elon Musk, Neuralink, or Neuralace program. Although, and those are just to publicize. The classifieds are much more intricate in what you would find online. There are also TED Talks by neurologists that have dabbled in these atrocious ventures. Although there is nothing paranormal about it, so they'll make you feel as if this is, either the Most High dealing with your angels or something like that. That's not true. This is the devil's children who goes around disguised in uniforms and badges, wearing fancy titles with pieces of paper that they could very well utilize to wipe their butt with, proclaiming themselves to be wise. They are very much fools, as it is written in the book of Romans chapter 1. So the Most High have given them over to their reprobated mindset. The NSA and which is the National Security Agency, and the Department of Defense, which have the operating intelligence sector of the DIA, or the Defense Intelligence Operation, know about this secretive project, and they are also utilizing the Treasury, or the black budget portion, which could be very well in the trillions. You want to know why the United States is so far in debt, but there's no audit that can account for the vast amount of trillions of dollars being utilized. It's because these black budgets. A black budget is pretty much, it's their black card or credit card. They can go to the ATM and spend however much they want to, and it's unaccounted for. They can write it off as miscellaneous use. They want to put contracts out on people's lives. Hey, black budget is just classified as a miscellaneous use, and the majority of the time the operations are black opt, which means the information is classified for decades before it is eligible to be released to the public, much like the newly declassified information regarding the fact that Martin Luther King had United States DIA operatives that had infiltrated him and intercepted him ever since high school. This is now public information. We are at 39 minutes. I'm not going to go over 40 minutes, but just know that these weapons do exist. These covert operations are in full motion, and you, as the citizen, is the victim. What they're doing is they're utilizing mass distractions to take away from what you need to be focused on. So they'll utilize race wars, religious wars, you name it. It says there'll be wars and rumors of wars. The rumors are just distractions, things to cause you to worry and to concern about everything but the right thing. The right thing to focus on is the Most High, the truth in life. And of course, I do appreciate the fact that you guys did come back to listen. And, you know, for those of you who truly support me, I love you guys. I may have never met you before in my life, but if you're a child of the Most High, you're someone out here like myself trying to make it in this crazy wilderness of a world, then, you know, we have to be there for one another. We have to learn to love and depend on one another. I don't trust nobody but the Most High, but I can love anyone. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this was a blessing and educational and a much more presented video compared to the previous one. You guys stay woke. If you're not woke, wake up and be blessed. And of course, you know, more than a conqueror have got to be out like a light in the middle of the night.